Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a collective energy reading, and a lot has obviously happened. If you guys have been following me, you'll see and you'll know that I've been doing a lot of live readings, a lot of live one-on-one mini readings and stuff, and I've been getting away from the collective messages, but there's definitely been a lot of conversations, especially with one of my very good friends, Jessica Locke, and some of my other friends as well. Obviously when you're going through ascension, it comes on all fronts, especially when it comes to your intuitive notions and the things you receive. I apologize for any sounds that we may hear during this reading because they are still renovating the apartment downstairs. And yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. Guides, angels, ancestors, ascended masters, beings of love and light only, Sophia Dragon Tribe, we call you at this time. We call upon you, and we thank you for all that you do for us. All the ways in which you lead us, and all the ways in which you have set down blueprints of ascension and consciousness that we are so blessed to have the opportunity to tap into and to have so many different avenues to do such things. Thank you. So we're going to see what the crowning energy of this collective energy reading is, and I'm sure a bunch of things that bring up conversations and topics or downloads that I've recently received will surely come up. I know I feel very calm. I just came out of a really beautiful meditation, and I'm feeling very drawn to just express, channel. I truly believe as I step into myself, I truly understand and believe that it's hard to put into words, but that there is an attainable joy, right? We as light workers, I know I sound like I'm rambling, but as light workers, we tend to struggle with the concept of balance, especially when it comes to the way we approach our work. Some people are very fly by the seat of their pants, a little more whimsical, and I feel like I fall in the middle of that, and being prepared and being diligent and having a routine, especially when it comes to being around my work. However, you get to places in your awakening and in your consciousness that, it breathes new life into this stuff, right? And sometimes it just means you don't want to be confined in the same way that you were before. Maybe I'll find at some point in my journey that tarot isn't my chosen way of contributing to the collective, right? But there's a lot of misconception is what I'm getting now around the things that are happening in our lives. This has been a running theme for quite some time, but there's this energy around having to protect or defend yourself. And I apologize if I keep going out of frame. When in reality, these things that are popping up in your life are popping up as a gift. It's like everything is being exposed. So in that, it's easy to see how we might see that as a trigger, or might be triggered by it, so to speak. It's easy to see how that could be possible, correct? And I definitely feel like there's a fear of receiving, a misconception of where we are. For the authentic you to emerge, or the authentic us, I'm including myself in that you statement. Certain things must just come to the surface, yes? And think back over your life, especially over the past 4 to 5 years. How many things have come up Some may even be straight up devastating. But they've slowly, and it wasn't as frequent as it is now. Some of you guys are not dealing with a lot of dramatic things happening in your life, but you're dealing with a sensitivity that you can't explain or understand. Getting nauseous in different situations, social situations, feeling like, what's going on with me? Like, am I literally becoming antisocial, right? There was a series of events that led you to this point. And there's a fear of receiving because you're judging yourself based off the old rules. I just heard the old rules don't apply. With this card, it reads, failing to recognize a magical opportunity, apropos, missing the point, the distractions of daily life, discontentment or boredom, lost in your own world, wake up. The old rules don't apply. And these sticks and stones, they cannot hurt you or us. When I say you, please always know that I'm speaking in the plural of all of us, okay? But with the Page of Pentacles in the upright position, the student card, because the pages to me are students, and they represent a period of learning. But the period of learning comes with the knowledge and the understanding and the faith that you've already been admitted. You're already here. So many of us are so used to learning how to survive in the old paradigm that we sometimes confuse our climate. I mean, this is truly downloaded. We don't realize that our climate is something much more acclimated to our structures, like ourselves. It's acclimated to us. We have evolved to meet it as it evolved. And so many of us, it came about in unconventional ways. And it was so messy. And there was so much karma being resolved in different, really random ways. But you're judging all of that history based off the old rules. And the old rules don't apply. We don't conform anymore. There's more and more space being made for us in the world. And when I say us, I'm referring to individuals who struggle with the world. There's so much pain going on right now. There's so much going on that could cause us to feel overwhelmed, especially if you have empathy. And sometimes you even have to get to a point where you shut it off when it comes to certain things because you have other things you need to focus on. We have other things we need to do, and that's real. But with the King of Wands here, there's this fire, this Aries energy, this masculine energy that is asking of you to let go. Trust this new climate, these new rules. You're gasping for air in an environment that has an abundance of oxygen. Because you don't have to think to breathe. But when the thinking comes in and you're worried for your survival or the future or the possibilities of what's going to happen with this relationship you're in or this job or these, you're so enveloped in their experience of you rather than your experience of them in the world, right? You're being asked to be an observer and not have to know all the answers. You don't have to know everything. At the bottom of the deck, we have the Star card, right? I only really read the text on the card if I feel drawn to it. I feel drawn to it with this one. Have faith. The future is bright. Oh my goodness, beautiful. Dreams come true. Positive changes that bring an end to challenging times. The light at the end of the tunnel. My darlings, is this not your new climate? And I'm going to speak because I really am appreciative of so many of you that have followed me and you see my light, you see my talent, and you come and watch, and I appreciate you. And I want to speak to you directly, and I want to say, there have been so many clients, and I don't even want to call them clients. I want to call them, soulmates, because in many ways, my experience with using tarot as a tool has been self-transformative and reflective. I've been guided to readings where I reflect back on them and I'm like, there's always something in there for me. And it causes me to be conscious and to hold myself to the divine's words and what they share as advice to other people. I look at my life and I say, okay, you know what I mean? I got the hint. I hear it even further. And they communicate with me in other ways, but the dynamicness of my desire to want to serve people or want to be of service or want to be of support, it allows me to get out of my own way. And that's been the journey the whole time. That's all of our journeys, is getting out of your own way. These wands are not held by anybody. They're telekinetically driven or telekinetically operated with the mind, with your own mind. Protect what you have created. Be prepared. Never give up. Ask angels for help. Environmental activism and animal rights. I want to read some other cards and get some clarification. Guides, angels, ancestors, thank you so much. Allow us to continue this beautiful flow that you have held space for us to find. Thank you. Thank you for the beautiful flow of speech and channeling that you have offered me today. A lot of you guys, it has to do with the people that matter most. And for some of you guys, this could even be a collective of people. So for example, like you're realizing that, certain people that are in certain crowds or that you perceive to be a certain kind of person. And I know that sounds vain, but, we always we do, programmably judge a book by its cover. And it kind of feels like, you might have an idea about the people that watch you and follow you, like a collective idea of what they think of you, what you're putting out there, right? Who you are, where you are in your life, right? We are experiencing a pain that is phantom, is what I'm hearing, because all is well. And there are so many people that are much more, that are this is interesting and an interesting download to share, but they may judge and give explanations as to why you failed and give you advice and want you to conform, right? But they would be much happier seeing you trust and have faith and operate in a new way, operate in a way that's different than the way you operated before, in faith that it won't be the same. They would be their reaction and their experience with that will be much more wholesome. And yes, it's true, they would be on the other side of your failure, listing everything you did wrong. But that's their own programming. That's how they judge themselves. You're reaching your hand out to lift them, they're reaching their hand out to lift you up, but you're actually lifting them up and you don't even realize it. And through you breaking these boundaries within your own freedom, within your internal freedom, I definitely also feel like, many of you are feeling activated by the struggles of people around you. And with the Queen of Cups, Pentacles in the reverse, it's giving me this energy of like, you don't know if you can do it. Like, you have this expectation, which you already went wrong with that, about what is your responsibility, what you will be doing in the future, right? But, we think back and we can't even list the things that we've accomplished, you know what I mean? And you know, we may have vain things that we list, but if you follow me, you know, there's no way to measure, right? You don't have all the time in the world to understand every butterfly effect that came from your every action. So for you to want to take stock of everything you're going to be doing in the future already is, you know, it brings us back to how the present is just so glorious, and how everything that is of the highest timeline comes from the present, comes from being in the present, submitting to the present, because the whole world is not on your shoulders, guys. And you know, for some it's going to be different for all of you. For some of you, it's literally in the same context of being a light worker and not knowing, you know, what your life path is, and or not really fully being defined in that, or struggling with your faith in that. Because there's a lot of you know, I don't want to say dark nights of the soul, but there are a lot of big questions in the collective, and they're coinciding with all of this awakening energy and all of this shifts, and all of these shifts in consciousness that are happening so quickly. Our brains can't keep up, and that's the point. Our brains are not supposed to keep up. Our brains are meant to submit. Like, there's no way that we could wrap our heads around everything. There's no way that we could take stock of it. Spirit is asking us why we're taking inventory when that's not our job. And this is different, like I was saying. For some of you guys, this is like, you know, your family's really struggling in this energy, right? And you're being gaslit. This is for a very particular few of you. You are being gaslit into being a provider, right? Having sympathy, obviously, for your family, but, you know, being a provider, not just financially, talking about emotionally, and, you know, basically being drug along on that energy. Because there's when people are struggling and floundering in coming into consciousness, with which everybody is going to be invited and is being invited into, and that comes in the form of being uncomfortable. And sometimes people respond to uncomfortableness by self-sabotage. The point is, where are you compromising yourself, feeling like you have to do everything? Where do you have to look at your life and say, this I have to give it to God, and this I don't need to understand or hack. I don't need to be a hacker right now. And you know, for a lot of you guys, it's an emotional thing. You don't even have many thoughts to it, but it's very particular few thoughts or subconscious beliefs that then invite emotions that are up and down and in waves. And you know, you're wanting to understand it, but maybe all you have to do is just to sit in consciousness for a second and filter through what's yours. I want to pull some cards on the Four of Cups. It goes to the 5, baby, and it's in the reverse. So there's a you know, it's really just a false perspective. There's something that you're looking at in a distorted or warped way, and it has to do with you. For some of you guys, you know, for one of you or some of you, I don't know, there's a family situation where it's a mother and you, or a daughter, a mother-daughter relationship, and it's like both sides have made up all these stories about why they can't, why they'll never talk, or why they don't get along, and they talk to their people and they vent and they continue venting and they react to the people around them about what the other person's doing. And it's like, if you would just sit down with each other and really be honest and put your pride aside, you would realize that there's a lot more to be had here, right? You're the one who's keeping yourself from your own party. I don't know what that is, but it just came out of me. You're the one who's keeping yourself from your own party and wondering why you're bored. I don't know what that is, but that's very interesting. Things are just flowing out of me today, and I really hope that this helps you guys, because it is definitely helping me. This is all stuff that I've been downloading, and the way it's coming out is so eloquent, and I couldn't make it up myself. And it's just so validative. And I know it's going to resonate with you guys. You've been keeping yourself subdued, sedated, is what I'm hearing. This could be with distractions. This could be literally with, social situations or keeping yourself busy. There's a lot of different ways, but ways in which you're allowing your energy to leak, where you have this fierce, and I'm hearing fierce capability inside you that is so diverse, and you're keeping it at bay. For why? Because you're afraid of it, right? There's a flip happening in the collective, and I know I'm not alone, right? And everything up until this point has been glorious, and everything you should be grateful for, we should be grateful for, and I am. But there's something here about just a decision, a judgment. I wouldn't be surprised if the judgment card comes out, but we don't hold expectation here on this channel. At least we try not to. But I do feel like it's this light bulb moment. And when I say light bulb moment, I mean literally flicking a switch. They're the places that haven't gotten the light, the places that you haven't allowed to hold space in your reality or share reality with you, are the same spaces that, when given light, are going to bring you into a balance and an ease that isn't so complicated to step into. So many of us have so much ahead of us. It looks like a mountain. Like, how are we going to ascend this mountain? Whether it be obstacles to overcome, whether it be stresses in life, being stretched too thin, having kids, wondering, how am I gonna do this, right? We keep hearing all this pretty stuff. Yeah, it's pretty because we need that pretty. We need that pretty to stay the course, right? We need somebody on the sidelines when we're running being like, you can do it, you can do it. Or even cursing at us, telling us to move our fat ass. Although that's not really Spirit style. They're more humorous than that, lighthearted. But they can come with the fire. The truth. For it's all bringing us to this moment. She's literally not doing anything. She's sitting there. She's just looking and appreciating her chalice, her heart, her emotions, her energy. She's present with herself. And this allows her to be able to mute or tune down, have grace, move with grace when it comes to awkward and uncomfortable situations, which we are in the season of the awkward. Things are awkward. They're uncomfortable. And as we go into this summer, we're all going to be trying to let loose, have fun, which part of it is going to be very that, you know what I mean? But for the majority, there's going to be this awareness of this empty hole that can never be filled. And that sounds very depressing, but it's fact. I don't want to say it's fact. That's arrogant. But what I mean by that is, like, enough of us share the awareness that the things that we allowed to distract us in the past are not going to be able to do it any longer. They simply cannot. They just don't quite do it for us. And everything's leading us back within. Everything's leading us back within. The temperature's getting hotter in this oven. And it's a beautiful thing. We're shifting in consciousness. We're literally growing out of the paradigms that we complain about today. And you are a part of that. But you wouldn't have gotten the job if you weren't qualified. This is spirit we're talking about. This is the divine we're talking about. There's a level of faith that everything that you're dealing with, there's a way through it that is different than how you've ever handled your life in the past. Some of it may be radical, and some may even cause you to question yourself and be like, you know, was I cruel? Was I mean? Or was I thoughtful enough, or whatever? You know what I mean? And those voices will simply begin to fade until you love yourself enough to offer yourself peace and grace and fulfillment and appreciation. There's nothing better than the feeling of gratitude, because it's the awareness of all that you cannot fathom that you have. Of all that you cannot fathom that you have. And then we have the King of Cups. Trusting that as you continue to raise your vibration, you will be guided in very efficient ways to offer your compassion and love, and it'll be ever so potent than it ever was before, right? Would you rather be moving along to a point, beating yourself so much that your vibration is not to a point where, every opportunity to offer a seed or to help or to lift a hand or to give compassion or to just give it doesn't pack a powerful punch, right? It's like, how can I help others when I can't help myself sometimes, right? Times where you're down and you don't even want to admit it. Many of you guys, you don't admit it, that you're going through, I feel like I'm going on tangents, but I swear this is all coming in really fast. But a lot of you guys you judge yourself a lot about, a lot of you guys assume that you have to bear a burden of some kind. And again, that is the old way. Those are the old rules. There's no burden. We need you to be as light as possible. And this will come with sacrifice. And some of it, and it doesn't mean that you're not capable of it, because there are certain things that you're struggling to let go of. It means you have to give us a little room to change you, to bring you into the most efficient, highest vibrational, dynamic, tenacious, feisty, divine version of you. Behind all the programming, behind all the bullshit, behind all the fear and the pain and everything. This is a big one, guys. For the old ways are literally constricting you. And I'm literally seeing an image of a turtle that's grown, caught, I don't know how to say this, that's grown through like a plastic ring, and it's being constricted, and its shell has grown around it. It's like Spirit is saying, like, you don't even realize that that's not even supposed to be there. You know what I mean? And I guess maybe that's not the greatest analogy, because you feel like you don't have the power to change it, but you do, right? How does a turtle, I don't know, whatever. We'll leave that one there. It served us. There's a lot of inner truths that are welling out of you as though it just rained, right? What does the rain bring? The rain brings those streams, right? They bring those streams down to the river, and sometimes those streams are rapid, right? And what's coming out, what's the potential to come out of you is rapid, to a point of, like, I'm also seeing like frogs jumping from lily pad to lily pad. It's like an opportunity for you to benefit off of the momentum that can be offered if you just be light and assume that the old rules don't apply. And it's not gonna be something, it feels like it's something that you switch on, but it feels like something that you have to keep switching on, right? Every time you slip back, okay, boom, right? It's a force of habit. A lot of the things are a collection of a force of habit, and we understand this. So we're coming in to support the transition and understand that only with grace, loving, and holding yourself with complete compassion will you be able to not be a proverbial bag in the wind. Because so many of us are, and then we are grounded, and we have things that ground us, like family and kids and this and that. But if we really tuned into ourselves, we'd realize that we allow a whole lot more suffering than we give credit for consciously. Because some of us feel like we just can't help it. What do you do with that aching knee or that that bad ankle, right? What do you do with that? You just live with it. You push through it. And we're great at that as humans. But if we could apply that in a different way, many of our lives would change very rapidly. They already have. But could you imagine? Do not put an expectation, therefore do not put a limit on the capabilities of a miracle. Is there anything for the King of Wands, King of Fire? In the past, you prevented yourself from operating this way. You see, our souls are naturally pulling us in this direction towards ease, right? Like Abraham Hicks says, the cork always naturally floats to the top. Yet our past and our reaction, our trauma mind, all of these things that have prevented us from being able to soar in the desired way, in all ways of life. And the disappointments and the tower moments, like the literal tower moments, have caused us to retreat or to be jaded, to have a proverbial chip on our shoulder. And some of us have this in a different way. Some of us, it's abandonment. For some of us, it's a level of expectation. For some of us, it's all wonky things that have to do with money, and family and work and bitterness because of like what you have to go through and what you have to suffer through. But what if you could just answer for the fact that there's always a way for you to live without suffering, and what that was served you in some way, and you always had the choice to operate in a way that didn't take a pound of flesh from you. But now you know better. Now you know better, right? So now, after, a long period of reflection, because I get many of you guys are going to have to go through a lot of reflection after hearing this message. And maybe this is just a small part in this journey for you, whatever that looks like. But either way, the reflection that is being embodied in the messages being shared today is it's just stating. And you may get it in different ways, a lot of different compounding ways. For I'm not meant to do everything as a healer. I'm doing my part. I think I feel very complete for this reading. That was Spirit's confirmation. If you'd like to book something with me, my information will be in the description box below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. God bless.